What's gender equality like in the finance industry? What challenges and opportunities do Filipinas face in this sector? I'm Patricia Mirasol, a multimedia producer at BusinessWorld. In this B-side episode, I speak with Abbie Dans-Casanova, President and CEO of SB Finance, about these topics and more. Let's talk a little bit about the gender gap in the industry. How much of a gender gap do you think is there in the financial industry in the Philippines?
I think it has been improving. And if you compare us to the rest of Asia or the rest of the world, Philippine executives have more place, would have more seats in the finance industry. So we did some research on it. Our board seats would be about 27%. Senior executives, women senior executives would be on the 48, high 40s. Same would be for management. Women in the managerial positions also in the high 40s, and it's double the average of Asia and the world. So the gender gap is closing up, but I think there's still improvement to do, because if you just look at the bank presidents, right, of the big banks, or even the commercial universal savings banks, maybe less than 5% or less than 10% are women. And if you look at board seats also, even if it's already at 20+%, but it could still be better.
You said that there is still room for improvement, of course. What do you think can narrow this gap further?
I think there is still a gender bias, number one, of how society or how our industry, specifically in finance, would look at women in really high positions. So there is that notion, right, of women wanting that position, because maybe it works two ways. The gender bias and also the confirmation of our gender, because this being in top positions also demand a lot, and we have societal pressures of women who would have different roles of taking care of the family, taking care of the kids, of the household. One of the things that would make our gender or women, pull back instead of lean in, would be the many responsibilities, would be the working conditions, would it be flexible, how do I manage my household at the same time growing my career or being in top management. So that's how I see the gender bias and the gender responsibility interplay. So next, how do we narrow the gap? So one is to really create a good network of support. As you know, looking after a family, it takes a village to raise a family, right? So there should be a lot of help, support in child rearing, in managing a household. So number one is the support within the family, and also external support. Number two is still on support, but creating mentors or coaches that would advocate for you, for the executive, for women who aspires leadership position. Another area of it is for women to also advocate ourselves, meaning not just keep quiet about our achievements, advocate for ourselves, because if we don't advocate for ourselves, who will? And then pay it forward. Also help other women rise up the ladder, also help mentor, also help coach.
I'm very glad that you mentioned work-life balance, because of course women have multiple roles, and one of them is being the chief homemaker. And another thing is that maybe one of the reasons why women have a hard time breaking the ceiling when it comes to the very top tier of management is because they also give birth, right? So if you give birth to a child, then of course you have to have a maternity leave. So maybe, I don't know, top management takes that into consideration when thinking of who to promote, frankly. So you mentioned it takes a village to raise a child. So there should be a lot of help coming from all facets. Within Security Bank, how does the company help its women employees take care of their children?
In Security Bank, both in Security Bank and SB Finance, we are on a hybrid work arrangement, which I think also really helps mothers, right? Our employees who are mothers. We've learned that actually I have personal experience of people under me in my past careers who would just resign because they wouldn't have people to take care of, or nannies or relatives to take care of their children after they, when they come back to the office. So this hybrid arrangement and the hybrid working arrangement helps in giving flexibility to our mothers, to our employees who are mothers, in such a way that they can resume working at home, right? While looking after their children. Of course, we also still expect the same productivity, the same commitment, but your confidence and your peace of mind is there when you are at least just seeing that your children are there, your infant is being taken care of. So this is one of the benefit, or I'd say a working arrangement that has benefited a lot of mothers. And we've learned that from the surveys also that we had with our employees, that one of the things that they really like most about our company and in our bank is the hybrid working environment.
That's one of the silver linings of COVID-19. It made people realize that you don't have to be at the office 40 hours a week to be an excellent performer. Okay. So, I also talked to someone from another company that also offers financial solutions for entrepreneurs. And she said that one reason why investors hesitate to invest in women-led businesses is because of the impression that women are more conservative. Is that true?
I spoke just yesterday at a women lead event by another, by ICCP. But anyway, I was researching on that, on how men and women, the difference on decision making and putting yourself forth. So I just want to share for men though, if a man is 60% sure of his answer or of his decision, he will go for it. Women would have to be 90% sure. So kind of, sigurista, or maybe if you say conservative, but I don't think conservative is the word. The word is to at least touch all bases and, be very sure of your answer. So it has pros and cons. It's a gender bias because right now, if you look at women in finance or women in Forbes 500 who've turned the company around, they've also done very aggressive things, like the new CEO of Citibank is a woman, and totally changed the business model of. That's why Citibank was sold in Asia, like the franchise was sold in Asia. Changed the business model, and then there are challenges, but she had the guts to do that, right? A woman CEO in Pepsi also did a lot of breakthroughs and turned the company around. There is also a study that there is more return on assets with more women on the board rather than if there is none. So I think that's also one thing that speak for how diversity and how women leadership, really matters.
As you were talking about gender biases, I was thinking that, you know what, even if it takes women more time to make a decision, but even if it takes them more time, if the result is double the investment or triple the return on assets, then maybe that time it took to make a decision is worth it. There are challenges and there are also opportunities. So what opportunities are available right now for Filipinas to succeed in your industry?
This is an opportune time for Filipinas in the finance industry because our industry is being disrupted, right? And I think that the great equalizer now is technology. So there's a lot of progress, not only in technology, in fintechs, in digital banks, but also in our regulators. Our regulators are like BSP specifically is one of the central banks that really open and try to adhere to this technological advances. And there's now a lot of opportunities for women, both in tech, in finance. So I mean, what I'm saying is the industry is expanding versus maybe during our time. It's mostly structured into, you go to treasury, you go to consumer or retail banking, you go to commercial or wholesale banking, and then you go to multinationals, domestic. But nowadays, the world is shrinking, we're more connected. So there is more chance and there is more play in the industry. Whether you want to go to fintech, you want to go to insurance tech, these are all still finance-related industries, and they are now interrelated. Another big thing is, as I mentioned earlier, we're not as restricted now to stay in the office, right? So aside from our companies, I'm sure there are other finance companies who are on a hybrid mode, and that will help women with young children or with infants. They can still continue their career while looking after their children. So there is no guilt feeling. There is at least supervision. So these are the things that were not present when I was growing into, in my early days, in my early career. We didn't have hybrid situations, hybrid working environment, right? So apart from now, the opportunity, the climate, the aggressiveness, it's there for the taking.
So there's lots of reasons to be optimistic if you're a woman and you want to break into the financial industry.
True, and of course, there's already awareness of diversity, equality, inclusivity, right? These are also not buzzwords during my time. But right now, I've asked my HR to look into how we could create focus groups or special groups like women, mothers, for to look at what needs or what support we can give them.
How are you, as a seasoned, banker, now mentoring the younger generation?
Hey, that's a great question, because you're right. I think I stood on the shoulders of giants. That's the reason why, I came far. I mean, I'm where I am now, leading a company, CEO of SB Finance. I could mention one from Citi. I was in Citi in the first decade of my career. So her name is Nina Aguas. She became the country manager, country head of Citi, and then went to ANZ, became president of BBCom, became president of InLife. So from banking went to insurance, and then now executive chairman of InLife. So she has a full family with 5 kids, and yet her career progressed a lot. And she would mentor. She would be as nurturing but yet as aggressive as a business leader. So I've also seen different types of facets of women, like my recent I think my boss in Security Bank past few years, Maki Tinson. So I've seen her progress, and she never left Security Bank. Like, did all her career in one bank, and now is a director of the bank. And I've seen how she reinvented herself from corporate. She was heading corporate, and when I joined, she was heading retail. So that's 2 different worlds in banking. But I've seen how her humility, her patience, her willingness to learn, even at already a senior leader, she still was willing to learn. She still was willing to shift that career internally. So that's also what I picked up. Another one would be our HR head here in Security Bank, Nerissa Berba, who's like she is, I think, included in the top 50 most influential in LinkedIn, something like that. Now I picked the people management and people management skills from her, like, or choosing the right people, putting right people in the right positions. And I think lastly was my boss from BDO, Dang Manulat, heading home loans. Her problem-solving skills were fantastic. I mean, throw her anything, any problem, she would just, think of a solution. So these things that I picked up from these remarkable women, I also try to imbibe to my one-downs or to the next generation.
That's a lot. Thank you very much. That's a lot to chew on. So I am familiar with Miss Nina Aguas. And yes, she is very inspirational. I also like what you said about one of your mentors who has an answer to every solution. And the third individual you mentioned who said that she's willing to learn even though she has an already very high senior position. Yeah, so I think that lifelong learning matters.
My last takeaway, especially for women who are going up the corporate ladder, or even women in business, I think we have to show or advocate our brand of leadership, our personality, and our brand of ourselves, So I just call it our brand of leadership, even if there is no title, even if your title is not there. You have to advocate and show forth that this is what I am capable of doing. This is my brand, these are the achievements that I did. Because if we don't advocate for ourselves, then who will? So go and advocate for yourself. Get strong mentors, create that network with strong women, especially women mentors, and don't stop learning. So, and that's where you can invent and reinvent yourself, because whether in career or in business, this life it's really a lifelong learning experience.
The opportunities are there for the taking for women who want a career in finance. Ms. Casanova advised mentorship, lifelong learning, and advocating for oneself for anyone wishing to succeed in work and in life. This has been another episode of B-Side. Subscribe now and enjoy industry insights on Philippine business and beyond.